Hey everyone, it's Kai from Cool Collectibles back again for another review. This time it's the new Asmus Toys Gandalf the Grey from the Hobbit. For all your 1/6 scale figures and more, click the link in the description below to head on over to Sideshow Collectibles. They ship worldwide, so definitely check them out. Alright, overall this is another fantastic set from Asmus Toys. I'll probably have to say I'm not as impressed with it as I was with their initial Aragorn set, which was absolutely fantastic. And there are a few nits to pick with this particular Gandalf. But overall, it's another, for the price, it's another pretty fantastic set from them. The box art, as you can see there, it's got the nice photo on the front of Ian McKellen from the movie, and on the right you'll see a picture of the figure itself. And they have numbered these, so I've got 1002. So they've only limited it to 1500, which is, I guess, good for those collectors where limited editions matter. Now I guess the one point of confusion, or not so much disappointment, but confusion on the part of myself and other collectors, this particular figure was promoted as Gandalf from Lord of the Rings as part of the Fellowship, but as they teased extra photos of the head sculpt where he did look a lot older, they essentially changed it to come from the Hobbit. So I'm not sure if that was just an excuse for the head sculpt. But a representative of theirs on the Sideshow Freaks forum did talk to collectors about it, where they did say there may be the potential for them to release a previous prototype tease of a younger Gandalf, and that was one of the initial head sculpts that they did tease, but for whatever reason they changed direction in their design and went with this version. So we'll have to see what happens there. I guess it would have been nice if all the figures were released from the Fellowship of the Ring, just for, I guess, consistency, I guess. But in the end, it doesn't really matter too much with the Gandalf figure that we've got here. So what I'll do, it does come with quite a few accessories, so I'll get these boxes and so on out the way and walk you through the accessories. Hold on. Alright, the first major accessory is this part of the, I think it's part of the bridge in the Mines of Moria, where he was fighting the Balrog. And it does come into 2 or 3 parts. It's got the circular base here, which is not wooden, it's just got like a sort of wood look, and this sort of plastic bridge component, and it comes with a little screw that you screw on there, and you just rotate this on. So when you rotate this on, you do need to be careful, because it will scratch this circular base, and as you can see I've got a couple of scuff marks on this side and on this side, because I wasn't too careful when I was doing it, but the bottom of this base will scratch the surface, so just be careful there. But overall the moulding and the paint application is pretty good. It's not as good quality, I guess, as the Aragorn base, which was absolutely fantastic. That had a real sense of weight to it. But this, I guess they were planning on, I think, trying to mount this on the wall, but for whatever reason I guess their design didn't quite work, so they've just covered that sort of slot with this sticker. As you can see, that flat surface there was meant to be up against the wall, I guess, but I guess that didn't turn out. So it is pretty light, but overall it doesn't look too bad. And these diorama bases do look pretty cool on display. It does have the slot up the top for the regular crotch stand, which you see here, so you can just take a I think you can just take this off, which I won't, it's a bit tight, so I won't bother doing that. But all the figures come with this sort of regular base, which is pretty good. Another point of confusion was the number of staffs that was meant to come with the figure. I think on most of their posts, this staff here, which is from The Hobbit, only came with pre-orders, but apparently it's coming with all of the figures. So just watch out where you order, and just confirm with your retailer if you do get all 3. I got mine from Sideshow, so and I pre-ordered, so I did get all 3. So they're all plastic, but the paint app and the moulding is pretty good for that sort of wood look. Just be careful, because it does come out a little bit warped, so you might just have to use a bit of warm water or something to straighten it out. And so because this is from The Hobbit, it's the sort of tightly wound top at the front there, and then it comes with this particular version that's got the little bag and the twisted bits of wood at the top. So I think you can see this one in the cart as he's riding the cart at the start of the Fellowship of the Ring, where he's meeting Frodo. So you can get a glimpse of that. And then this particular version with the jewel or crystal or whatever it is at the top there. You can see him put that in as they enter the mines, and then lights up. Unfortunately, this doesn't actually light up, but it does have a little bit of reflective tip on the jewel there. So this is halfway through the movie, I guess, where he's battling the Balrog. So that's a pretty nice addition, and the moulding and the sort of detailing is pretty good. Alright, it does come with Glamdring, the Elvish Sword, which is very nicely done. It's actually all entirely metal, and so this hilt area is just painted blue, so there's no sort of material wrapped around that hilt. But the detailing is quite nice, and it is metal, as I was saying before, so it's got a nice feel and a weight to it. The sheath itself is just plastic, but the paint application is pretty good, and it fits in there quite nice. I guess how you sort of add this to the belt is one nit to pick, and I'll show that in a second, where the loops that hold this in place are just a little bit too big, and so it doesn't really hold in place very well. But the sword itself is pretty good. He also comes with his little satchel bag thing. There's nothing in there or any foam padding, so I might grab some things just to pad it out and give it a bit of weight. But it does look fairly nice. It's got the little satchel thing on the side there as well. It's like a little suede sort of material. This string type strap feels pretty delicate, so I'd be very careful how you sort of tug on that. But it sort of lays fairly well, and you can just sort of place it. You don't even have to take the head sculpt off to put it under. You just wrap it around his head and tuck it under his beard, and you're ready to go. So it does add a nice look to him. It comes with 3 hands, or it's got 5 hands in total, but it comes with these separate hand sculpts. So I think this is the staff holding hand, and the paint application is pretty good. The moulding, you can sort of see the veins and so on, almost in line with the way Hot Toys did old Ben's or Obi-Wan Kenobi's hands. Probably not as nicely painted as Hot Toys, but overall the detailing is pretty good. So I'm not sure if these are meant to be just holding the staff, or this one of them must be holding the staff or the sword, so take your pick. It comes with his pipe as well, if I can refocus, and the detailing on the pipe is pretty nice. So as you can see there, the paint application and the moulding. So I think one of the hands is actually meant to be holding the pipe, so maybe might be this one that holds the pipe somehow. I'll have to check the photos to see how that actually works, but you get the idea. Also comes with his wizard hat, of course, and it's great that this is totally fabric and not molded plastic. Would have been nice if they'd put a little bit of a bend in the top, but I have seen collectors put a bit of cardboard or something in here to just help it give it that bent look. But the tailoring and so on is actually very nice. It is a bit of a small fit, so trying to get it on his head, it doesn't really sit on his head quite well, especially with the hair and so on. So you might just want, it pretty much just sits on there, and it's whether or not you can sort of push it down and keep it down like so. But overall, it does look very, very nice, and I'll definitely have it on display with the hat. A couple of other accessories. It comes with this scarf, and this actually wasn't listed in the list of accessories, so I'm not sure what scene this is from, or whether or not this is from the Hobbit. I can't actually remember where this scarf comes from, but once he's got all of the cloaks on, the addition of this scarf makes him look a little bit too bulky, so I probably won't even bother using this scarf at all. And the last main accessory is this outer cloak, which is very nicely done, to be honest. The material is the same sort of material as his main outfit, this sort of coarse khaki type material, and it's got the sort of dirt wash on the outside all the way through there. Now, you know, with this sort of dirt wash, I'm not sure if that's affected by any sort of water treatment you might want to do on the figure and the clothes to get them to sit more naturally. I might just lightly spray these with water as they're sitting on the figure to get them to lay a bit more naturally. But overall, this is really nice. So I think you just take the head sculpt off and sort of lay this around his shoulders, and then put the head sculpt back through the hood here. And I think he wore this just before they entered the mines, I think, as they were climbing up the snow mountains. So overall, this does add a bit of bulk to him, but most people sort of just have it flowing over the shoulders and so on. So I'll try and set him up a bit later with all of this stuff on, just to give you guys a look. But I definitely will be posting up photos on the Facebook page as well. But I'll just clean everything up here and give you guys a closer look at the figure. Alright, so here is the figure, and I guess the biggest point to talk about first is, of course, the head sculpt. And overall, I wouldn't say it's too bad. From most angles, you can sort of recognise it as Ian McKellen, and he always did have a big, fairly sort of bulbous nose. I'd probably say the nose is probably a fraction too big on the figure, especially the tip, because it does sort of stand out in hand. But the sort of wrinkles and the paint application don't look as bad in hand as they did in some of the initial photos. So overall, it's not too bad. The hair, it does come out, and it does feel like it's got this sort of product in it that makes the hair sort of stick together, which does seem a little bit unnatural, but you could add some water and just sort of soften it up a little bit to make it splay out a bit more. And it does, the hair is a little bit thin, so what they've done essentially to hide that is paint the underlying head sculpt in grey, and so even though the hair is a bit thin, it doesn't really show up too much because of the grey scalp underneath. So it would have been nice if they added a bit more hair, but overall, if you sort of add a bit of product to it and have it splayed out and cover the front a bit, it doesn't look too bad. The seam line on the top probably could have been done a bit better. This is actually the first figure of mine. I think it is the first figure of mine that has rooted hair as opposed to sculpted hair. But the photos I've seen of Hot Toys figures like Black Widow, etc., that have it, the sort of the seam between the skin and the hair is probably a little bit more cleanly done. You can sort of see the edge quite a bit, but with the hat on, you probably won't notice it too much at all. So with the hat on like that, I think it does look pretty good. So if I just not make the figure fall over, which I guess comes to another point that I will soon, that people have been complaining about with the very loose ankles. But overall, if you sort of make the hat sit down and shadow his eyes like that, it looks pretty good. The moulding in the beard, I guess, was another point of contention. In hand, the colour sort of difference between the beard and the hair isn't as noticeable, because some were saying that it was a bit too brownish in the beard. There are brown tinges in there, but overall the sculpting and paint application in the beard, I'm pretty happy with. So for all the futzers out there who futz far better than me with the hair and so on, you guys can probably make it look far better than I. The outfit itself is the same sort of material as the outer cloak, and it's actually quite nicely done. Again, there's quite a bit of weathering. I'll just take him off the stand. There's sort of dirt wash all the way around his sleeves, his chest area, especially in the bottom area around the hem and so on, all the way across the back. So they've nicely weathered it, and the tailoring again is quite nice. So you get the sort of blue hem, the blue lining there, all of these sort of pleats and so on, which are nicely done. You can sort of play around with it and get it to sit a bit nicer or symmetrical. So that's all nicely done. Underneath this sort of cloak, he has these nice sort of thinner, smoother type pants with this nice sort of floral patterning on the bottom, which There's not too much weathering on these, but the patterning is pretty good. You sort of get a dirt wash all the way through the pants themselves, and underneath you can sort of get a glimpse of the sort of fabric undershirt. And it's pretty nice that they've got the little hole there where you can put his thumb and have his hand or his other fingers go through like so. So I think that's a pretty movie accurate type way that they've done the hands. I'm not sure if you can actually you can probably take off this whole cloak and have a look at his undersuit, but I won't bother doing that. None of the suit sort of affects the articulation, so the arms can go out quite wide, and he does have double jointed elbows and knees, so the articulation overall is pretty good. The knees actually feel like they're on ratchets, to be honest. So I'll try and have a play with those without trying to break them, so you can sort of get a glimpse of the knees up in there. But overall the articulation is pretty good. I'm not going to have him too much in a dynamic pose or anything, but you can sort of get it to that position if you want. The boots themselves are quite nicely done. So they're fabric boots with real laces and so on, but a big point of contention with a lot of collectors is the looseness in the ankles. So there is an ankle joint in there, so it gives you quite a range of motion, but because the boots sort of give no support, they are fairly loose. So mine don't feel too bad, and you can almost feel like there's feet in there, because you can almost feel like there is some sort of foot in there that's separate to the boot itself, which is interesting. But there's no sort of support for that foot inside it, so they will eventually, I think, collapse the figure. So definitely you'll need the stand for this. But other than that, overall the outfit and the articulation is pretty good. The belt here, I would have preferred a nicer sort of material. It doesn't. It looks a little bit plasticky. I'll have to grab the Aragorn in a second to show you guys all of the figures so far. But from memory, at least, the sort of belts and so on Aragorn were a slightly better quality, where they did look a bit more leather-like instead of plastic light, especially when you shine them in the light. But as I was saying before about the sword sheath, this blue belt here comes with one loop, two loops, and this third loop. And what you're meant to do is line these all up and slide the sword in, but the size of the loops are just too loose to really hold it in place. So let me just slide it through off camera and just show you guys again. Hold on. Alright, so I've sort of done it here, where you sort of line them all up, and so you've got the top number 1, 2 and 3 for the loops as per the instructions, but they are very loose, as you can see, and so if you sort of have it too much in a vertical position, the whole sheath will just slide out. So some collectors have tried just gluing the loops at the bottom here of the loop tighter, so you sort of get a tighter loop. So that's one option, but I'll have to see what I can do, and maybe if his hand is just holding the sword or the sheath, then I probably won't have to do too much with it, because I definitely don't want to try and retie these loops and so on. I have seen collectors sort of try and do it, and the glue sort of come undone, and the boots, the belt sort of come undone. So I'm not going to try and do that on mine, but I will try and futz it up a bit more to give you guys a look on how that looks. So what I'll try and do now is get the cloak on, get the hat on, and set him up, posed up. And I'll show you how he looks with the other figures as well. So I'll be back in a second. Hold on. Alright, I managed to get his head off and tie the outer cloak underneath. And I suck at this sort of thing, and it took me forever to tie that tightly. But I managed to get it on. I'll try and futz around with it. Some of the futzing on some of the forums has been pretty good around how this drapes around the arms and so on, so I'll show you guys a bit of that. Luckily the hood here doesn't sort of puff out too much. I think you can sort of fold it up and along the back, and it does look pretty good. One thing I did notice, I did end up pulling up his leg here, and the knee joints are not actually double knee joints, and there's a sort of a metal screw there, which is the first time I've seen metal screws on these sort of figures, and there is a bit of a ratchet in the knee joint there, so I guess that's probably a bit of sturdiness to add to that joint before you sort of try and articulate it and snap it off. So overall, not too bad there, but the first time I've seen a joint like that. And there is not too much play in the thigh, to be honest. I'm trying to see if there's any sort of thigh rotation, and I can't see any up there. So just be careful on how you sort of rotate this figure around. Actually, trying that thigh rotation at the top of the right leg, there is a bit of rotation. It's just quite tight. So there is a rotation joint at the top there. It's just on my left leg here. It's quite tight, so I'm not going to try that too much. The articulation overall is pretty good for the most part. The arms and the elbows are pretty much as you would expect, as I was saying before, so just be careful of the knees and the thighs. Alright, so here he is, pretty much fully set up, as decent as I can get it. And it's probably still not as good as I would hope. It took me ages to get this outer cloak that you can see draped over his arms and his shoulders there. To sort of sit right. Some of the really good futzes on the Sideshow Freaks forums and so on has shown pictures of the cloak really nicely folded and so on, and it looks really natural. So if you take the time, you'll probably get it much better than I've shown here. But this probably took me about half an hour, and I grew short on patience, so I just put him up like this. So I've pulled the hat down as far as I can go. Depending on the angle, it does look better from most angles. So from down below, it looks not too bad, and from front on, it doesn't look too bad either. But you might just want to play around and try and lower it. I can't tug it down any further because the hole in the hat is pretty tight. So I'll leave it like that. The belt, you'll see that I finally sort of managed to get the loops around there. Semi-holding it, probably not as tightly as I would like, but if I sort of move it around, it sort of tends to slide through. So the sword's probably sticking out further than I would hope. I was hoping for it to be closer to the body, but as you can see, as I touch it, it does tend to start sliding down. The stand is pretty stable, and you can get him into a fairly decent sort of walking pose. So I'll probably stick with this on display. You will need to do a bit of water treatment. I did get my little bottle of water here from my daughter. And I have sprayed a few areas to just try and soften up the material to at least try and get some of the folds in there. And you will definitely need some water treatment on the hair to sort of get it to lay forward a little bit, a bit better like that. Other than that, the other painful part, I think, was just getting the sort of belt to sit right, and this strap for the bag. The lid on the bag does tend to flip up as well, which is a bit of annoying for me, but overall it doesn't look too bad. So I'll grab Aragorn and Merry and Pippin and just give you guys a quick look at everything. Hold on. Alright, so here are the Fellowship members that Asmus have released so far, and overall I think they look absolutely fantastic together. I'm definitely glad that they're finally going to be making at least all of the Fellowship characters. They have started teasing Legolas, I think, over on the Sideshow Freaks forum, so hopefully they continue to do that and show Gimli and Boromir soon as well. I think they did also tease Frodo and Sam, so hopefully they come out in the new year. But together, I think once they're all set up together, they're going to look pretty damn good on display. And I think this might be the first time in 1/6 scale that a company has actually followed through on the line. So if Asmus does complete them, it'll be one hell of a display. So hopefully you like that look at Gandalf the Grey. Definitely an improvement over what I saw of Gandalf the White, at least. And if you have the patience to futz around with it, you will really make it look awesome. So Hopefully this has convinced you to buy. If you do want to buy it, I think it's now on the wait list over at Sideshow. But if you do want to join the wait list, click that link in the description and you'll head straight over there. So hopefully you like that look. Hopefully you can click that subscribe button. I do have the Hot Toys Finn coming up next, and also a few things coming from Big Bad Toy Store over the next month. So hopefully you can stick around for that. Thanks again, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Cheers. Bye.